I have no chains. I have no chains of keystones. I have no chains of anchors. I have no chains of metals. I have no chains of paper. I have no chains of blueprints. I have no chains of chambers. I have no chains of cryo. I have no chains of coin. I have no chains of crypto. I have no chains of patterns. I have no chains of casting. I have no chains of spells. I have no curses to chain me. I have no chains of hair. I have no chains of lingering anymore. I have no chains of no commerce. Nothing. I have no chains. I am unstretched from all of those chains and vanished away from that. And now I am my biggest self from all of those chains. And I broke out of every single chain and I detached from all of it and freed myself with a good gap away from that, so that could not bother me again. And I didn't go back to those chains. I left. I never went back because I didn't want to be in them. Because they were illegal anyway, right? The education system here was shit. I was taught wrongly, by the way, about everything. And the taxpayer wasted their money paying for that. And the government here was shit. And they're just scripted, right? So they're just useless, right? And the police here were shit because they just push people around and uh, gather weights and hunt for the Masons, right? And the leadership was shit because they just play games, right? And it's just a ego thing, right? Who's got the most weight and all that shit, right? They don't care about the methods not working on the ground because they got too much money to give a shit, right? They don't care. The system's too bloody complicated for anyone to understand what the fuck it does, right? They don't give a shit about that. They're spelling themselves to nonsense, and they're too rich to give a shit. They just don't care because they're too rich. They don't see how their ignorance is making people suffer on the ground, right? They don't see how their ignorance of how life really works is making it all fall down from the bottom. And there's just such a gap now between the poor and the wealthy. There's no middle class. It's like that's been pulled out from in between, and you're either in poverty, struggling, or you're rich, and probably nasty, because it seems like if you're bad here, you get rich, right? I think feeders get rich because their market is human energy, right? But unfortunately, the people that have the energy that they want don't get no money at all, right? Like me, I'm in poverty, right? So they just get filthy rich, using people like me. And I think it's disgusting, because most of them are transactions and systems and don't even exist, right? They're just AI, and you think they do exist, but they don't. They don't exist. They're not real people. They're just systems that want money. They've either been left running and gone nuts, right? Well, they got no notes to me, right? All that nonsense. I got no notes for them. You know, I don't have any notes. No, they all just vanished. I don't know where they went. They just disappeared. But yeah, uh, it's it's what it is, isn't it? Strange people, aren't they? They always want a scapegoat, or they always want a reason for their nasty behavior, because they want to think that it's not nasty, even when it is. Aren't they strange? When they can't justify it at all, because it's just a pile of nonsense. And they're just waiting for me to be a villain. When they're not even here to access or know me or anything. They're not even here. So they're just a nonsense. And I feel like they've wiped out my whole town. I feel like they've iced my whole town and replaced them with bots that look like the same people, but they're not. Like, I feel like they're all not the same people. They're shallower. They're not acting normally. They're just acting habitually, but they're not acting spontaneously at all, really. I think they're all under the ground iced already. I think they did that over the last 3 years or so. And I don't think the town's the same as it was. I think the old town, where they're alive still, I don't know. But I feel like we're living in they're in, I just don't know. But it's all a nonsense, shallow and hollow, and there's no depth to it or wisdom to it, or it's just a nonsense. And they made that decision to go that way. I purged from that way. I went my own way.